Though it is a dark time for the galaxy, there are still those who fight for justice, calling on the Force. Sentinels stalk cities to root out corruption, investigate crimes, and oppose any who would further that darkness. Whether operating from the shadows or openly as heroic vigilantes, they are often the only hope many have left. Begin your war against injustice with Endless Vigil. This supplement expands upon the Force and Destiny role-playing game, adding new content for Sentinels and other characters who desire to investigate crimes and avenge wrongs. With the Force at your side and lightsaber ignited, you're ready to track down evildoers and ensure justice lives even under the cruel rule of the Emperor. This is a review of Endless Vigil. Let's dive in. So here we have Star Wars Force and Destiny Endless Vigil, a source book for Sentinels. This was published back in 2016 by Fantasy Flight Studios, now Edge Studios. The introduction of the book serves as an explanation of what a Sentinel is and how they fit into the Star Wars universe. In layman's terms, they're the smart Jedi who treat everything as a problem that needs to be solved. Unseen Vigilantes serves as the chapter for new player options. You'll find species, specializations, signature abilities, and a new force power to play with. Sentinels do have a new morality table to use that is specific to the career. So we're going to have things like bravery and defiance, frugality and condemnation, caution and fear, wonder and alienation, compassion and hatred, mercy and weariness, righteousness and spite, pride and arrogance, modesty and vanity, trust and guardedness, justice and cruelty, malleability and dogmatic. There are 3 species for the players to use. We have the Gand, Moon, and Pantorans. The Gand begin the game with a 3 in willpower, a 1 in presence, and a 2 in everything else. Their wound and strain threshold is 10 plus the relevant characteristic, and they begin the game with 100 XP. They also begin the game with 1 rank in discipline. There are 2 subspecies of Gands, one with lungs and one without. Those without lungs are immune to suffocation, while those with lungs breathe ammonia, but they also gain an extra 10 XP. Moons begin the game with a 3 in intellect and cunning, a 2 in brawn and agility, and a 1 in willpower and presence. Their wound and strain threshold are 9 plus the relevant characteristic, and they begin the game with 90 XP. They do begin the game with 1 rank in knowledge education and knowledge core worlds, and they have deep pockets, meaning they start with an additional 1,000 credits, although they cannot spend these credits during character creation, which is rather awkward. Pantorans begin the game with a 3 in presence, a 1 in willpower, and a 2 in everything else. Their wound threshold is 10 plus brawn, and their strain threshold is 11 plus willpower, and they begin the game with 110 XP. They do begin the game with 1 rank in either cool or negotiation, and they are tundra dwellers, meaning they can remove a setback die imposed due to cold environmental conditions whenever they make a skill check. Sentinels have 3 new specializations: Investigator, Racer, and Sentry. A Sentinel's career skills include computers, deception, knowledge core worlds, perception, skullduggery, and stealth. The Investigator's additional career skills include knowledge education, knowledge underworld, perception, and streetwise. In the first tier, we have Street Smarts. Remove a setback die per rank of Street Smarts from streetwise and knowledge underworld checks. There's Keen-Eyed. Remove a setback die per rank of Keen-Eyed from perception and vigilance checks. Decrease time to search a specific area by half. There's Uncanny Senses. Add a boost die per rank of Uncanny Senses to all perception checks. And there's Grit, meaning they gain +1 strain threshold. In the second tier, we have another rank of Grit and another rank of Street Smarts, but we also add Talk the Talk. When making a knowledge skill check, the character may spend 1 destiny point to substitute knowledge underworld or streetwise for the required skill, and they gain Toughened, gain +2 wound threshold. In the third tier, we have another rank of Toughened, another rank of Keen-Eyed, and another rank of Street Smarts, but we also add Reconstruct the Scene. Perform the Reconstruct the Scene action, making a hard perception check to identify the physical characteristics of person present at the scene within 24 hours. In the fourth tier, we have Sense Advantage. Once per session, may add 2 setback dice to 1 NPC skill check. There's Unrelenting Skeptic. When targeted by a deception check, add failure to the check equal to ranks in Vigilance. There's Clever Solution. Once per session, make 1 skill check using Cunning rather than the characteristic linked to that skill. And there's Sense the Scene. Perform the Sense the Scene action. Make a hard perception check and add a force die no greater than force rating. If successful, spend force pips to identify the emotional characteristics of one person involved in the crime. In the final tier, we have Valuable Facts. Once per encounter, perform Valuable Facts action. Make an average knowledge check. If successful, add a triumph to 1 ally skill check during the encounter. There's Dedication, so we gain +1 to a single characteristic, but remember, this cannot bring a characteristic above 6. We have Improved Street Smarts. Once per session, may take an Improved Street Smarts action. Make a formidable Streetwise or Knowledge Underworld check to learn 1 vital clue from the GM. Reduce the difficulty once per rank of Street Smarts. And we gain a force rating increase. The Racer's additional career skills include Cool, Coordination, Piloting Planetary, and Piloting Space. The Racer's additional career skills include Cool, Coordination, Piloting Planetary, and Piloting Space. In the first tier, we have a rank of Grit, but we also have Skilled Jockey. Remove a setback die per rank of Skilled Jockey from all Piloting Planetary and Piloting Space checks the character attempts. We have Conditioned. Remove a setback die per rank of Conditioned from Athletics and Coordination checks. Reduce the damage and strain suffered from falling by 1 per rank of Conditioned. And there's Shortcut. During a chase, add a boost die per rank in Shortcut to any checks made to catch or escape an opponent. In the second tier, we have 2 additional ranks of Shortcut and a rank of Conditioned, but we also add Full Throttle. Take a Full Throttle action, make a hard piloting check to increase a vehicle's top speed by 1 for a number of rounds equal to Cunning. In the third tier, we have another rank of Skilled Jockey, but we also add Improved Full Throttle. Suffer 1 strain to attempt Full Throttle as a maneuver and decrease its difficulty to average. Then there's Free Running. Suffer 1 strain when making a move maneuver to move to any location within short range. And we have Improved Free Running. Suffer 4 strain when making a move maneuver to move to any location within medium range. In the fourth tier, we have another rank of Grit, but we also add Supreme Full Throttle. When performing Full Throttle, top speed increases by 2 instead of 1. We have our force rating increase in this tier, and we also add Better Luck Next Time. Take a Better Luck Next Time action. Make a hard cool check to force a competitor to suffer a major misfortune. In the final tier, we have Superhuman Reflexes. Once per session, after generating a Despair on a piloting check, cancel the Despair and add successes equal to ranks in Cool. We have our rank of Dedication. We have Improved Shortcut. When engaging in a chase or race, may suffer 2 strain to add successes equal to ranks in Shortcut to the check. And we have Intuitive Evasion. Perform the Intuitive Evasion maneuver. Suffer 1 strain and commit a force die up to ranks of Intuitive Evasion. Upgrade difficulty of combat checks targeting starship or vehicle by equal amount. Suffer 1 strain every round the force die remains committed. The Sentry's additional career skills include Coordination, Lightsaber, Stealth, and Vigilance. In the first tier, we have a rank of Toughened, a rank of Grit, and a rank of Conditioned. But we also add Reflect. When hit by a ranged attack, suffer 3 strain to reduce damage by 2 plus ranks in Reflect. In the second tier, we add another rank of Grit and another rank of Reflect, but we also add 2 ranks of Uncanny Reactions. Add a boost die per rank of Uncanny Reactions to all Vigilance checks. In the third tier, we add Sleight of Mind. Add a boost die to all stealth checks unless the opposition is immune to force powers. We have Saber Throw. Perform Saber Throw action. Make lightsaber combat checks as ranged attack at target within medium range, adding a force die no greater than force rating. Must spend force pips and succeed to hit target. Spend force pips to have weapon return to hand. We also have Improved Saber Throw. So when performing the Saber Throw action, may increase the range to long range. When attacking a target at long range, spend 2 force pips to have weapon return to hand. We also have Impossible Fall. Once per session, perform Impossible Fall incidental when falling. Make force power check and spend force pips to decrease fall by 1 range band and land somewhere safe. Spend force pips to decrease distance by 1 additional range band. In the 4th tier, we have another rank of Sleight of Mind, but we also add Dodge. When targeted by combat check, may perform a dodge incidental to suffer a number of strain no greater than ranks of dodge, then upgrade the difficulty of the check by that number. We also have Fear the Shadows, and Fear the Shadows is a talent with conflict cost, meaning that for every session that you have this talent in, you're going to automatically gain 1 conflict. But Fear the Shadows says, perform the Fear the Shadows action. Make a hard deception check to force a single minion, group, or rival to flee the encounter. There's Constant Vigilance. May always use Vigilance when making checks to determine initiative. In the final tier, we have another rank of Dodge, but we have a rank of Force rating increase and Dedication. We also have Improved Reflect. When reflecting a hit that generated Despair or 3 threats, may hit 1 target in medium range with the same damage as the initial hit, after original attack resolves. Sentinels have a new motivation category, Injustice. This will reflect things like disenfranchisement, displacement, hunger, illness, imprisonment, oppression, poverty, prejudice, slavery, and violence. Sentinels have 2 signature abilities, My City and Unmatched Vigilance. Signature abilities are powerful, usually once per session abilities. These are attached to the bottom of a specialization that matches the career for that ability. There are also upgrades that you can purchase that make them better. My City's base ability says once per game session, when in an urban setting, the character may spend 2 destiny points and make a hard knowledge core worlds or knowledge outer rim check. If successful, for the remainder of the game session, the character may suffer 2 strain to recall or learn the location of any individual, group, or establishment within that city and any relevant information. Unmatched Vigilance base ability says once per game session at the beginning of a structured encounter, the character may spend 2 destiny points. If he does so, he determines the initiative order of the first round of the encounter. Characters still make checks to determine initiative, but these results will only apply after Unmatched Vigilance's effect end. Sentinels also have a new force power, Manipulate. You do need to be at a force rating of 1, so you can get this at character creation if you so wish. Manipulate's basic power says the force user shapes machine components on a molecular level, allowing him to mend damaged mechanical systems. The force user may spend force pips to cause 1 vehicle or starship he is engaged with to recover 1 system strain. The user may activate this multiple times. Tools of Judgement serves as the new gear section for players and GMs to use. We'll find new weapons, armors, and vehicles to use within. For ranged weapons, we're going to have things like the BR-219 Heavy Blaster Pistol, GLX Fire Lance, the LD-1 Target Rifle, the SSG Mark II Paladin, the KWS Mark I Saber Dart, and the NX-14 Needler, which is interesting because it actually has Pierce 3 and is ranged light, so really effective at what it does. For lightsaber weapons, we actually have the Crossguard lightsaber. We actually have the Light Whip, which is a really awesome lightsaber. If you've read the High Republic book series, there is a Jedi that makes use of that. And we have the Phylaxian Phase Knife. I find it very interesting that the Light Whip has Ensnare 1, because it's a lightsaber weapon. Wouldn't it just be like that, the electrical lasso that they use in the Kingsman, the Golden Circle? Yeah, so I don't really see that happening, but hey, it's there if you want to use it. For new armor, we have things like the Crash Gear, the G-Suit, the Pit Crew coveralls, and the Zephyr Stealth Suit. We also have some new droids to use, like the DUM series Pit Droid, the Guardian Police Droid, the MI series Security Droid, and the TCSC Infiltrator Droid. For new gear, we have things like the Carrick Spice that comes in 1 dose or 100 doses for a cargo container, the Questioner 9, and also with 100 doses in a cargo, and the Yellow Spice, which also comes in a 100 cargo dose container. Those are your drugs and poisons, by the way. For scanning and surveillance equipment, we have things like the infra binoculars with long-range sensors, the Microdroid Listener, and the Tageco Privacy 7 audio curtain. For security equipment, we have the palm stunner and the scramble key. And for tools, we have the disaster relief kit, the emergency repair patch, the foot speeder, the repulsor assist unit, and the urban compass. To go along with the new racer specialization, we have pod racers. These act like other vehicles, only that they have their own list of mods to use. So we have things like the BT310 Quadra, the Color Pondrat Plug F Mammoth, the CR17 Incendia 3, the FG8T8T, the GPE 3130, and the KV99B Wasp. You're better off just Googling those because I'm pretty sure all of these were in episode 1 at one point. And if they weren't in episode 1, then they were definitely probably in the pod racing video game that was like on the N64 way back in the day. For new starships, we're going to have things like the Cygnus Spaceworks ETA class shuttle, the KSE RHO-1 Limulus class courier, and the CNR Fleet Systems Legate class courier. So not a whole lot of options for starships, but then again, we do have pod racers. Strike from the Shadows serves as the GM Toolkit chapter. You'll find advice on implementing Sentinels to a campaign, new rules and mechanics, and plot hooks to further entice your Sentinel characters. First, we have some advice on bringing urban environments to life, complete with its own table for spending advantages, triumphs, threats, and despairs. I would normally welcome a table such as this, but it doesn't really specify what kind of a role warrants these options. I'm assuming that it's going to be streetwise, but even then, there are some odd options, like, let's take bad grub for instance. Some of the local food the PCs ate earlier was spoiled, and they are now feeling the side effects. For the rest of the session, whenever the PC generates 3 threat or despair on a check, the GM can spend it to cause him to be afflicted with the crippling bout of nausea. The PC becomes immobilized until the end of his next turn. So you got weird things like that here. As an addendum to urban environments, we also have a section on blending into a crowd. Speeder traffic, cramped conditions, and vertical spaces, each with its own table for spending advantages, triumphs, threats, and despairs. So very nice if you actually find yourselves in those types of situations. There is a nice section on contacts and obtaining contacts, which is actually universally useful no matter what kind of a campaign and characters you have. Then we have investigations, and this is a very useful, if a very brief, article for those who want to add a mystery or two to a campaign. There is some valuable advice here, and it does come complete with its own table for spending advantages, triumphs, threats, and despairs. The most useful mechanic, and quite honestly, I'm surprised it wasn't really included in the core rulebook because of how often I imagine it would come up in a game focused on Jedi or Force-sensitive characters, is lightsaber crafting. Like with other crafting rules, you'll first pick a template, then you'll gather the materials required, and then begin construction by making a mechanics check. Also, like with the other crafting mechanics, there is a table for spending advantages, triumphs, threats, and despairs. This one is going to sit at top tier just because of lightsaber crafting alone. It seems like there's 1 or 2 players in every one of my campaigns that always wants to craft their own lightsaber, which I guess kind of makes sense, and these rules are valuable. I think that the rules mechanics for urban settings are a little bit more useful than some of the other rules that we've seen in other source books, because let's be honest, you're always going to be in a city at some point. Unless you're playing a pure exploration campaign, in that case, then you might not really use the urban rules. The specializations are okay, minus the racer, which honestly seems like it was just added to add pod racing. And I really wish they had included some rules for pod racing. If you're looking for something similar, then the Jewel of Yavin Adventure actually has this segment where you're racing some cloud cars, which you could actually use for pod racing, I suppose. But that's totally going to be up on you to figure that out. Well, that's going to do it for this video. Feel free to leave a comment down below. Give this video a huge thumbs up to support the series, and I will see you guys in the next video.